Welcome in to the Brave and Attempt podcast. I'm your host, Wyatt Spalding, and today we're joined by Omaha Police Commissioner Todd Schmader. Commissioner, how's it going?
I'm doing great this morning. Good morning to all your listeners. Anybody who might be watching this, Wyatt, I've been looking forward to this podcast.
Yeah, I've been really looking forward to having you on. Like, we met at the Breakfast of Champions, and it was a brief meet, but it was cool that you had time to come on. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
So, Commissioner, why don't you just start talking about kind of like where you grew up and what you were involved in during your childhood?
Yeah. So I am born and raised in Omaha. I've been with the Omaha Police Department for 28 years, but I came up through the ranks. I got hired in 1996, and I just kept getting promoted all the way up to chief. But growing up, I grew up kind of right in the middle of Midtown, like 106 in Blondo area. I went to St. Pius, the 10th grade school, and then for high school, I went to Omaha Roncalli. And then after high school, I ended up playing football for a year at Wayne State, and then ultimately graduated from University of Nebraska at Omaha with a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. And then I went on to University of Cincinnati, where I got a master's degree in criminal justice. And born and raised Omaha, like I said, and with the Omaha Police Department 28 years.
Nice. So, growing up, did you always want to be a cop, or what was your first kind of dreams growing up?
Yeah, so I was familiar with the profession because my dad was a police officer. He was an Omaha police sergeant for 34 years. So I always kind of had it in the back of my mind, but I tried the business world first for a little bit. And I started kind of noticing back then that law enforcement jobs were actually paying more than businesses. So I thought, you know what, this looks fun. I'm going to switch over. And then once I got into it, I just loved it from the start. And I'm so happy that I stayed in this career and happy that I chose it.
So, what was it like for you when you went to like the police training academy?
Yeah, the police academy is a shock to you because it's very, very tough. And I remember walking in the first day and I realized, okay, they own me for 21 weeks because you got to do whatever they tell you to do for 21 weeks. And after about the 10th week, they started getting a little easier and easier and easier. And that police academy is a place where you just learn everything about being a police officer. But you know what else it is? You just meet some really good friends because you're in this crazy environment together and you're in all this stress together. So you become really close to your coworkers. And then when you get out of the academy, it's just a really good job because you're now a fully functioning police officer and you get an opportunity to make a difference every day. So it's been a pleasure.
What was it like for you going from the police academy to now you're on the streets and starting the real job? Was it kind of the same or really different for you?
Well, it was a little different because in the academy, let's say, for example, you practice traffic stops and you practice writing tickets and you do all of that. Well, that first day when you're on your own and you pull over a real citizen and you have to issue a real ticket, it can be nerve-wracking the first time you do it. And then of course you get used to it just like anything else.
Yeah. So throughout the ranks, like you started as a beat cop, right?
I
And
did.
then maybe tell us then what'd you go to throughout the ranks to get to commissioner?
So I started out as just a police officer, and I worked in North Omaha in the evening shift. So I was on the busiest shift in the highest crime area, and then I had a partner, and the two of us would drive around every night and answer probably 20 radio calls, helping people out all night long. And I did that for about 4 years, and I took a promotional exam to sergeant. Sergeant is your first line supervisor where you supervise 10 officers on a crew. And so I did that, and then I was promoted to lieutenant, which is kind of a mid-level manager. And I was overseeing the police academy at the time. I did that for about 3-4 years, and then I was promoted to captain. And a captain, it becomes a pretty big rank within the police department. I was supervising maybe 120 officers, overseeing our traffic unit. You become a member of senior command staff at that point. And then I was promoted to deputy chief, where I oversaw everybody that you see in a uniform. If you see them out there in a uniform in a police car, I supervised them as a deputy chief. And then in 2012, I competed against a national pool for the chief's position, the commissioner's position, and was selected in 2012 of August. So I just had an 11-year anniversary as chief and commissioner.
Oh, that's awesome. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So, and you guys do a lot of stuff for the community, and one thing you guys do is Special Olympics. So maybe explain and talk more about, you guys are really involved in the law enforcement torch run with Special Olympics. So kind of talk about what that is and how you guys volunteer, and that's a big part of the police force with Special Olympics.
Well, the Omaha Police Department and Special Olympics, we're partners together, and we really enjoy that partnership. I think both sides have been very good to each other, so it's fun to be a part of a team. So we're happy to be part of the Special Olympics team. The law enforcement torch run, that's an opportunity for law enforcement to get out there, actually do that torch run and carry that pride with us while we're doing it. And I really think it's important to have a sense of pride in what you do. And you have to stand for something in this world. If you don't stand for something, you don't stand for anything. And so in law enforcement and police work, we decided we want to stand for everything that's good. And when we do that torch run, we're standing up and saying we support Special Olympics, we support the athletes, and we're asking you, get behind us. Let us lead you, and we'll all support it together. So that's that sense of pride in that torch run. And I know my officers will always be there for that, because it's just something we like to do. And, when you like to do something, you never stop.
Right. How far do you guys run in the torch run?
Well, it could be a couple miles, some of it. Some of it's maybe not so long. It just depends on who the runner is sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd be willing to carry it for a mile.
Mile? Yeah, I think me
that's
too.
It.
I've heard people say like, oh yeah, they go 2-3 miles. Like, I don't know about that. I don't know if I can do that. Like, but
that's a long way. I would do a mile.
Yeah.
I'll let the better runners do the 2 miles.
Exactly. So Special Olympics and the police force have done a lot together. You guys are always there handing out medals and everything. When was the first time you've ever been to like a Special Olympic event or heard about how Special Olympics and the police force get involved together?
Yeah, so it's probably been, I don't know, maybe 8-9 years ago, 10 years ago. I was approached by some officers, and they wanted to kind of get involved in it. I said, yeah, absolutely. And matter of fact, I want you to represent the Omaha Police Department too. And so that very first opening ceremony I went to and participated and got to see the Special Olympics and that opening ceremony and some of the events. And it was at that point in time where I knew, okay, this is a super thing for the Omaha Police Department. And then it really just started growing from there. We have officers that kind of take over and do everything with it. At this point, as chief, I just kind of give the approval for it. And of course, I attend when I can, because I just enjoy it. Mm-hmm. So that's how it kind of started with us. And like anything, it started small and it just started getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And we like it right now. We love it that it's big with the Omaha Police Department.
Yeah, I'm always like chatting with them because they hand out our medals. And I think it was like tennis or something. We're like, why do they take like 20 pictures? Can we go? Or it's just kind of funny because it's like,
well, we like our pictures.
I know, right? Like I think me and one of the police officers joking, like, yeah, I think we can leave. I don't know, don't move. But it's always fun to like joke with them. And one of the best pictures I have is our basketball team. I think there's 2 police officers in it, and it's always cool that you guys go and hand out medals for us. Are any of your police officers coaches or unified players in Special Olympics? Do you know of?
We have some coaches. I think we got 3 or 4 or 5 coaches actually.
Nice.
And I think we might even have a member of the Omaha Police Department that's got I think they might have a child that's in the Special Olympics too. So
Oh,
they've got an actual participant even.
that's cool. Yeah, because like
Yeah,
I would never know that because they're just playing, so it's like not
right.
like they have their uniform on or anything. But yeah, I always thought you guys would be good unified partners because like I mean you got to be in shape, right, to join the police force. So we
We try to
definitely,
be.
yeah. If you could play any unified sport, with Special Olympics, what sport would you play?
I would do track.
Track?
I
Nice.
like the track and field. I like to see that sport. It's fun for me to see the athletes line up. And then once that one event's over, the next one starts right away. And so for me, that's fun. And so if I had to compete in it, that's what I would compete to. I'd run the 100-yard dash.
Nice. Maybe do a relay, do like the 100-yard relay or something
That
like
would,
that.
yeah, make me the slowest person on your relay.
So you can start off.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like being involved in Special Olympics and just like, do you do out stuff outside of your job that, you have a stressful job? So, like, mental health of it, does that, like, going to Special Olympics and then just doing other stuff outside of like your job, does that kind of help you, like, just kind of relax and take a step back where, you go into like a stressful job every day?
It does. I mean, sports has been my way of relaxing for a long time. Not so much by being a player, but when I go to the Special Olympics, I'm relaxed. I enjoy watching it. My kids, I got two kids. They're 22 and 20 now, but they played sports their entire lives until they got out of college. And so I always went to their sports, and that was my getaway. So I'm not good at sports anymore. I used to be back in high school, but my getaway is watching sports and competition, and that's enjoyable for me. And because you see the team aspect, but then you also see that individual challenge themselves. And that's always something as chief that I know if you're challenging yourself as a person, you're going to be very successful. So that makes me happy to do that. So outside of the job, I've always attended sports. And then the other thing that I do to try to get away is I travel. I try to get out and get out of the city, get out of the state, and just kind of go somewhere where nobody knows me.
Yeah.
That's how I can have some fun.
What's what's your favorite place you've been when you travel?
Yeah, I I just got back from Costa Rica some couple
Ooh,
months ago, and I really like Costa Rica. One of my favorite countries ever.
nice.
Yeah.
So, do you have any like growing up? Do you have any like like professional sports teams you follow? Like when you get off to work, like, oh, I can't wait for this game to
Yeah.
be on.
So I like the Creighton Blue Jays in basketball.
Hmm.
I like the Nebraska football team in college football. I like the Kansas City Chiefs, and I like the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, okay,
Those are my teams I follow.
nice. You think the Saints gonna make the playoffs this year?
I hope so. They
Yeah,
got a
we'll.
new quarterback now.
Yeah, that's true. You guys got someone back there now.
Yeah. I
So,
really love the city of New Orleans. I will go there a couple times a year, and we
okay,
got some family up there. So um, it's a I love going there because it's so different than Omaha. Omaha is a great place to live. I love it.
yeah,
But if you stop in for a weekend in New Orleans, it's a good place to stop in for a weekend.
yeah. So, would you say like being a police officer has taught you about overcoming adversity? Like we learned to overcome adversity in sports.
Mhm.
So, is the lessons you learned, like playing sports or helping out at Special Olympic events, has
Mhm.
taught you how to overcome adversity in the workforce as well?
It has. Adversity is a part of life. And I think the first step to overcoming adversity is realizing that everybody goes through it. And you're not unique in the sense that you don't have to feel all alone when you're facing adversity. Know that all human beings are faced it at all times. And then also, the second piece to that is realizing you will overcome adversity if you put the work in and if you try hard. And when you overcome it, you come out better on the next end, and it makes it easier to address the next piece of adversity. And then just the final piece is there's always three layers to very complicated matters. That final piece is just realizing that you learn something from everything that you do. Everything that's challenging, you learn something. And so I always kind of embrace adversity as chief. I know that big things will happen in the city. I know that when we're done with this podcast, that something could happen that I have to address. But I've learned to embrace it, because every opportunity in your life, whether it's adversity, maybe you're getting a medal, that's a good moment, all those are learning experiences, and life can be fun when you recognize that.
Nice. Cool. So, like, I know there's like jobs in the police force, but like, say I've heard of like athletes, like they think it'd be cool to like be a policeman, but you know, if you have a disability, it's probably hard to pass the physical, obviously. But are there any like ever opportunities for people with disabilities to either do a job at the police station or come and see what it's
Yeah,
like to work there?
absolutely. And I welcome anytime anybody wants to take a tour of the police department, because we do not every there's 1,200 people that work for the Omaha Police Department. So I have 1,200 people, but only 900 of those are police officers.
Oh,
So I've got 300 employees that do other things for us. And so there is always a spot within the Omaha Police Department for those that want to work here and help out and be a part of making a difference in society. There's openings here.
sweet. One question I always wondered to ask a police officer is like, you know, like the police shows on TV. Oh, that's like 99% fake, isn't it? Like, can you watch them, or do you just watch them and be like, I can't stand this? No.
Well, I tell you what, about 20 years ago, they were so fake.
Yeah.
But now they're actually getting pretty realistic. They're hiring police officers to be part of the production team and trying to make it as realistic as possible. I don't watch police shows, but when you do watch them, I think that they're fairly accurate, except for one thing. So many things occur within that 1 hour show,
Yeah.
and they don't occur that fast in real life.
Right.
It may occur, and it may be a pretty good idea of how that occurs, but on TV, it makes it seem like it's just every second of every day. And
Yeah.
it's not. And so
Yeah.
that's hard for me to watch the shows when I'm like, okay, this is not occurring every second. And then they're only showing the highlights too, and they're not showing the parts where you have to do the police reports,
Right.
testify in court, and all the other things that go into it.
Yeah. There's probably
That's a
not.
good question.
It's probably like more like any job. There's always a boring part to
There
any
is.
job, and like, who's really gonna want to watch the boring part of jobs on TV?
Exactly. They cut all that out.
Yeah, like sports is probably the only one like you'll literally watch everything they do. But yeah, for sure. So just a couple more questions real quick. One, how do you think Nebraska will do tonight for the versus Minnesota? First game of the season tonight.
All right. So here's my prediction. I like Coach Matt Rule, and I think college football has a lot to do with quarterbacks and coaching. So I think Nebraska will play Minnesota very, very close tonight. I think
Okay.
it's going to be a super close game. And I went to the Nebraska volleyball game last night
Oh,
that
nice.
took place outdoors at Memorial Stadium, and they played the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and there was 92,000 people there. It was very impressive. And so all that support behind our Huskers, I think they'll play good tomorrow or tonight. Looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Yeah, for
I'm going to
sure.
predict a victory. I'm going to predict a close game.
Okay. I think that's that's like every Nebraska game. It's always close. So it's
Yeah.
and then also too, how do you think the Creighton Blue Jays will do in basketball this year?
Oh, I think they're gonna go deep just like they did last year.
I'm gonna say they can make the Final Four.
I
they
think
could
that's
do.
very possible. Isn't that fun that we have a team right in Omaha that can make the possible Final Four?
I know, and like,
That is so fun.
and it was crazy. I mean, they were like a play away from making it last year. That's
I know.
insane.
We
Like,
we're kind of blessed in this area because we got Creighton, we got all these great schools, and it's hard to be as good as Creighton is. And that's how good of coaching that they have and how good a leadership it, it's fun to know that our Creighton Blue Jays are going to be in the NCAA tournament and we get to watch them for several weekends in the tournament. It's so much fun.
yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast, and thank you for being involved in Special Olympics and Nebraska and Creighton sports and everything you guys do for the state of Nebraska. So,
All right. Thank you, Wyatt. And thanks to everybody who's watching us today. Everybody have a good day.